Most people don't realize they're slowly becoming someone else. Not in a dramatic way, not suddenly, just gradually. And by the time they notice, the change already feels permanent. This is that realization. Identity doesn't usually shift because of one decision. It shifts through repetition. You do certain things often enough and they stop feeling temporary. They start feeling like who you are. Not because you chose them, but because you adjusted to them. That's how identity changes without ever being questioned. Adaptation is necessary. It helps you survive. It helps you function. But adaptation has a side effect. The longer you adapt to something, the harder it becomes to remember what you were adapting from. The original version of you doesn't disappear. It just stops being referenced. This is why nothing feels wrong at first. You're capable. You're managing. You're handling responsibilities. Life feels controlled. But control isn't the same as alignment. You can be very good at maintaining a life that doesn't reflect you anymore. And maintenance feels productive, so you don't question it. Over time, roles take priority. Worker, partner, provider, reliable person. Roles are useful. They keep systems running. But roles don't ask who you are underneath them. So you begin responding to expectations instead of internal signals. And because expectations are external, they're louder. The realization comes in moments of quiet contrast. You see an old photo. You remember an old interest. You notice how something that once mattered no longer crosses your mind. Not because it stopped being meaningful, but because it stopped fitting. That's when you realize you didn't lose yourself. You just stopped making space for yourself. This realization is uncomfortable because it doesn't involve failure. You didn't collapse. You didn't fall apart. You succeeded at adapting. And that's harder to question because adaptation is praised. It's rewarded. So admitting that it changed you feels ungrateful. But gratitude doesn't erase misalignment. The longer you live in a version of life, the more permanent it feels. Not because it has to be, but because familiarity creates inertia. Inertia doesn't argue, it just keeps things where they are. That's why this realization arrives late. Not when change was easy, but when it feels complicated. Most people don't feel like they betrayed themselves. They feel like they outgrew the person they once were. But often, it's not growth. It's adjustment without reflection. And adjustment can look a lot like maturity until you examine what it cost. If this makes sense now, it probably wouldn't have before. And that's not because you were unaware. It's because awareness comes after enough distance has formed. Some realizations don't arrive to recover who you were. They arrive to explain why you feel slightly unfamiliar to yourself now. And once you understand that, you don't rush to reclaim anything. You just recognize how quietly identity can change when life keeps moving forward.